Hi, I am Torit Mato and you are watching Art in Purulia. Today we'll discuss how you depict in a painting the lights and shadows. Highlights and shadows are extremely important in a painting. They not only depict the time of the day and direction and intensity of light and the atmospheric conditions, but they control the emotions of the entire painting. They depict where the objects are in space. We often make a mistake in placing shadows as the last minute afterthought in a painting. But many artists, understanding the importance, plan for the shadows right from the very beginning. In this video, I'll talk of the perspective of shadows and demonstrate the geometrical construction and also talk on the color of the shadows. I'll conclude with some finer tips on the illusion of space using shadows. I'll not talk much on highlights but emphasize more on the shadows in this video. Highlights are lighter where the light hits the surface and placed in the opposite direction of a shadow on an object. Now let's see the perspective of the shadows. To understand the linear perspective of shadows, first let's draw the object. Here I am drawing a cuboid in a 2-point perspective. If you want to know more on how to draw in perspective, please watch my videos on basics of drawing. Once the object is drawn, we have to see where is the source of light. From the source of light, we need to draw a vertical line onto the horizon line. The point where it touches the horizon line is called the shadow vanishing point. From this shadow vanishing point and the source of light, we need to draw straight lines through the outer corners of the cuboid. The lines from the source of light will define the shadow outline, and the points where the lines from the shadow vanishing point cut these lines will define the extent of the shadow. Now let's see the atmospheric perspective point. The top part of the cuboid will reflect most of the light, so it will be lightest, followed by the side one, and the darkest will be the side opposite to the source of light. The shadow will have a cool color, a mix of the base color, its complementary, that is green in this case, and a little touch of blue. Some of the important aspects to keep in mind while painting shadows are: when to create the shadows, or rather at what stage in a painting should you do the shadows. Though there is no one size fits all type answer for this, it should depend on subject to subject. Many times you might have to leave the shadow area blank until you are ready for it, or paint the shadow on top of other paints using a glaze or a similar technique. Next is understanding the types of shadows. A crucial part in painting a successful shadow is identifying what type of shadow it is, because there is no such thing as a generic shadow. You need to know what the differences are between a cast shadow and a form shadow and how to approach painting them. A form shadow is the portion of an object that is naturally darker and away from the light source. These shadows are used along with the highlights to define the form of the object. A cast shadow is one that is created by an object that is blocking light falling onto another object, or floor or wall. The cast shadow itself can be categorized into 3 parts: umbra, penumbra and antumbra. Though not very distinct from one to another, they can be distinguished as per their darkness from darkest to lightest. Everything including water has shadows. Shadows apply to seascapes and other water scenes also. Everything has a shadow, not only the rocks on the shoreline but waves also. The angle of the sun is very important. The water scenes will have more or fewer and deeper or softer shadows depending on the direction of the light. Shadows add dimension to water and give you the opportunity to express moving waves or flowing streams. Avoid black for shadows. Pure, straight from the tube black is invariably too dark in tone and too consistent or flat in color to make a satisfactory shadow. Few shadows in nature are truly black, so you need to account for those colors when painting shadows. So, what's a good approach to shadows? Mixing a chromatic black is an improvement on straight black. It has the look of black but is not black. Chromatic black can be made by mixing equal parts of Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, and an earth color, such as burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw sienna, or raw umber. Chromatic black also blends better with the other colors on your palette, as it would be less dramatically different in color temperatures than straight black. Mixing the base color with the complementary color for the shadow will produce a more subtle, natural effect. This is a preferred approach to shadows. Don't forget about texture and tone. Just like other parts of your painting, the shadows need to have depth. Avoid painting flat shadows, but think of them in the same way you do brighter portions of the painting. What does a shadow need to be? Believable. Texture. The shadows too have detail and texture. Moreover, it takes the shape of the surface where it is casting to. For example, if the shadow falls on steps, it will take the shape of the steps also. Tone or value. Shadows are not a flat color, but they have darker and lighter values within the shadow. Adding shadows by glazing in watercolor. A gentle shadow can be created in watercolor with the final layer of glaze. Again, this isn't done with black paint but a suitable primary instead. Shadows of floating objects. The shadows of floating objects will appear detached from the object. To show an object rounded, the best trick is to show a shadow touching it. Now let me show you how application of shadow can make a difference. This rooster is looking resting on ground. By putting a shadow much below, it will look flying, whereas the other one remains grounded. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to my channel for more interesting tips and painting tutorials. Please like and share and comment below on your reaction whether you liked it or if you have any queries or suggestions, and of course, please do subscribe. See you.